It's time now for The Clash, in which we tackle the big stories of the day from opposing points of view, because we love debate here at GB News and we love a bit of balance. Tonight, with Britain suffering a crisis in food and energy supplies, is it wrong to blame Brexit? And with friction over the Northern Ireland Protocol featuring that contested invisible border in the Irish Sea, and with President Biden talking down the idea of a UK trade deal with America, was Brexit a mistake? Saying a firm no is Belinda, former Brexit Party MEP. And I'm also delighted to welcome Deputy Director of UK in a Changing Europe, Professor Catherine Barnard. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Belinda, was Brexit a mistake?
No, it was the best thing I've ever done in my lifetime, bar having children and getting married. There we go.
There you go.
Really
I won't ask you for the order, but I'm guessing Brexit comes first.
Third. It's all right. It's a third up, but the kids, kids and my husband has to come first. But no, it was a fantastic change that needed to happen in this country. We needed to have a nation that could self-determine its own laws to best represent and suit the interests of our own countrymen. I think the EU is going down a totally different path, and we made an escape. I think had we waited another 10 years with all this EU army talk and integrating defence and tax, we wouldn't have been able to make an escape, but we've made it now. There are bumps, of course, there is with any major change, and that we need to go through slowly and offer support to everyone who needs it. But my goodness me, this freedom to act nimbly, to act quickly in times of crisis is so essential in this mad world where everything seems to be catastrophized every day. We have the power to guide our ship with our own politicians who are accountable and not stuck in some secret, bureaucratic, anti-democratic little room where the Commission sits in Brussels. No, best bring the power back to our Parliament.
But with HGV drivers heading back to the continent post-Brexit, do you not think that our departure from the bloc is one reason why supermarket shelves are empty?
I think it is a combination, and I think it was to be expected that there would be some hiccups in supply chains. My goodness, we're unraveling 43 years, I can't remember now, over 40 years of being sucked into a project the British people never had a say of joining. And yes, so there's bound to be a bit of disruption. I think the lorry driver shortage is a European issue. Germany is 60,000 short. Poland is over 100,000 short. And actually, it's a job with very, very hard working hours, and having been paid peanuts, we are now seeing a rise in the salaries of our lorry drivers. Waitrose has given them a bump, and dairy drivers, they've had their salary increased. And I think it's about time. People have been paid peanuts and worked so many hours just to make a living and support their families. It's about time that they were rewarded for their efforts and their wages rose a bit, to be honest.
Professor Barnard, this is not a crisis, it's an adjustment. It's teething problems.
I think that's right. I'm work for UK and Changing Europe, and we're not a partisan organisation, so I'm not making the case for and against. But my point is that it depends on where you stand on the political spectrum. We've already heard a strong argument for leave. Remainers would say, yes, this is all due to Brexit, because at the moment our politics are so divided that everything is seen through a Remain-Leave prism. In reality, of course, it's a combination of things. The lorry driver shortage, well, we think about 15, perhaps 20,000 lorry drivers went back to the EU during lockdown. We also know that maybe another 25,000 or so British drivers retired. And we also know that there was a chronic shortage of testing during lockdown. So there's a backlog, just in the same way that 17-year-olds can't get tests for learning to drive. Lorry drivers couldn't get tested either. So as with all these things, it's more complicated than it's just Brexit or it isn't Brexit.
And Professor Barnard, many people take the view that HGV drivers are underpaid, and perhaps it was years of EU membership which depressed wages like that.
Yeah, Absolutely, that's the argument. It's the argument that the Conservative Party have always made, that one of the advantages of Brexit would be that wages would rise. But we also know that, as we've heard, that being a lorry driver is a pretty tough job. You know, you're away from home for long periods of time, and it's not just the hours you're on the road, but it's also the packing of the vehicle, the unpacking, the securing of the vehicle. And all of this is pretty demanding stuff. Pay has been low, and the reality is that pay is going up. But what we're seeing is it's just going up in particular sectors. So at the moment, it's HGV drivers, but we also know that there's shortages in other areas, in food processing, on farms, in poultry factories. And we're not seeing significant wage rises there because it's much less visible than the shortage with HGV drivers.
I'm delighted to welcome Charlie Mullins to the conversation, the founder of Pimlico Plumbers. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks for having us on this evening. Yeah, great.
It's good to have you on the show, and congratulations. I think you've now sort of washed your hands of the business. No pun intended. But you're out there with plenty of time on your hands. What's your overview about Britain post-Brexit? I know that you supported the Remain cause, but with a flurry of trade deals around the world, a very successful independent vaccine rollout, Brexit Britain appears to be pretty effective.
You're obviously messing about, and yeah, it's the biggest mistake we've ever made. We go back to the same time when we was talking about leaving, the problems we're going to have, and they're out there. Not just the lorry drivers, everything is going wrong. The borders, the people can't come over it. It's the biggest mistake we've made. And I don't know if you know, but the latest survey says that 40% of the people now would remain in the EU, and 40% would still leave. So the odds have changed, and it's just a stupid thing that's happened. As you're probably aware, the GDP has gone down 4 to 6%. So the health of the country, the economy is absolutely useless now. We've made the biggest mistake ever, and how we've allowed ourselves to put up with this and let them get away with it, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Belinda, shall I tell Charlie there's been an 18-month pandemic, or do you want to tell him?
I wasn't going to mention it, but if Charlie really thinks that our future is better protected inside the secret rooms of Brussels, then I wish him well in dreamland, because honestly, we being able to act very quickly during this pandemic it's saved lives. And one of the problems with purely seeing everything through an economic lens is you never take a moment to understand of the poorer EU nations that have been stripped of their skilled workers, from care workers to hospital, to you name it, plumbers, electricians. We have stripped them by
Charlie's got plumbers.
Offering this open border situation. No one talks about those countries.
Look,
everything about the economy here. There is much more at stake than just the economy. And do you really think America, when it gained its independence from George III, or any of the colonies when they left, got their freedom from the empire, ever thought, oh, no, we can't.
Lady, take a break, right? You're actually talking rubbish, right? Because you don't know nothing about business. You don't know nothing what's going on out there. No, you're standing there laughing, but you haven't got a clue what's going on. We've got seven for your grinning.
By the way, Charlie, my name's Belinda. Thank you.
Belinda, that's a lovely name. Anyhow, 7.7% of billion we have lost in exports alone in the UK. We evidently was leaving the UK to get our own sovereignty and get in control of things. I mean, it doesn't look like the government are doing much of a good job of getting in control of anything, does it? If anything, it's gone backwards.
But
you talk about Brexit, Charlie. I'm not the government. We gave the government Brexit as a gift to make the most of every opportunity it offered. And whatever the Tories have done with it, I think it was a bit of a dog's dinner of a deal, to be honest. But I thank God every single day we left that project, because people who were not benefiting from being in the EU, who voted for Brexit, now at least have more agency when they vote. You and I have platforms. We have a stake in.
Excuse me. What are you talking about? Why don't tell me? Hold on, lady. Or what's it called? Belinda, isn't it?
Belinda DeLucy.
Belinda. Sorry, Belinda. Let me just ask this to you. So we lost 20,000 lorry drivers because we left the EU, yeah? We got the ones we have got. I've got 4 or 5 hour queues or 5 mile queues getting across the borders. So how does it help us? We're out of petrol at the moment. We're running out of food, and you're sitting there telling me it was a good thing to leave the EU. Honestly, lady, I mean Belinda, you're just
No,
not.
I don't mind
Yeah,
being
honestly,
called love. I'm all up for all that. Don't you worry about it. I don't mind being called love. But what I really do mind is you catastrophizing. You're sounding ridiculous, Charlie. This is dramatizing every little thing and jumping on anything that makes you feel proud that you try to overturn a democratic vote, which I think is indefensible. But I really believe, no, it is true. Lots of migrants went home during the pandemic to see their families. There are lots of reasons people left the UK, not because they thought it suddenly turned into a xenophobic nation, because they wanted to be with their families back.
Charlie, what about the 3 million people that applied to stay, EU citizens that applied to stay in the UK? And what about democracy, Charlie? Because the bottom line is the main argument for Brexit, in my book, is that people voted for it. The public are not stupid. They knew that if we left, we would have control of our borders, our money, and our laws. And that's exactly what we've got. An end to free movement. No membership of a European army, which we now know is absolutely part of the Brussels master plan. We are a free, independent, sovereign nation. You're conflating, Charlie, the short-term issues around the pandemic with the Brexit project. You can't do that. And the full potential of Brexit will be with us for years to come.
Really?
Yes.
So we've never been in a worse state. And of course the pandemic has caused millions of problems. Who would in their right mind leave the EU when we've got the big pandemic going on? Why didn't we just shelve it for a little while, get organised? We've got all the issues to come. Honestly, you lot are in it together, right? You're all getting together and think you're clever and,
Well, that's not true.
I'm just saying.
That's not true, by the way.
No,
let me tell you, Charlie, that I voted Remain in 2016, and it took me 24 hours to accept the result. In fact, I accepted the result the morning that the actual poll came in and that we'd left. I just thought, here we go. I trust the British public. I trust their judgment. We've got Global Britain. We've got Brexit. We'll make a success of it. Why can I accept it and you can't?
Well, because you've just been streamed along with what's going on.
So I'm stupid as well, like everyone else that's supporting Brexit.
No, excuse me. No, don't put words in your mouth. I never said that. What I said is you're going along with it all. You've got Boris saying we're going to have all these trade deals with America. That's not happening, is it? Binden don't seem that keen on all the trade deals that Boris keeps talking about. Well, you tell me, where's the trade deal?
The European Union doesn't have a trade deal with America, but Donald Trump said that the ink was barely dry on his proposed plan. It's only because the Democrats in Washington can't stand Britain. But I believe that a trade deal with the US will happen in the fullness of time.
Yeah.
But we've got, so
of course
far,
you will.
over 60 agreements with countries around the world, including Australia, Japan, and Canada. So there's a lot to come. But let me bring Catherine back in to this conversation.
Yeah.
Catherine, could you be referee here? What's your overview of what's been said?
Referee.
Well, as you can see, you've got passions run high on either side. The bottom line is with the trade deals, yep, absolutely right. There's 60 of them, but most of them are what are called rollover trade deals.
They're rollovers, exactly. They're rolled over. Thank you.
The UK had when it was a member state of the EU. The new one with Australia is still only agreed in principle and will only add about 0.01, perhaps 0.02% to GDP. But the reality is what Brexit is about is not really about economics. Many people who voted for Brexit were not actually persuaded by George Osborne's argument that there was going to be an economic hit. What they wanted was the sense, as we've heard, of being able to take back control and be able to decide things for ourselves. The issue is that really possible in a situation when we are very closely integrated with the EU, geography matters in trade, and the bottom line is the EU is still our closest trading partner, and we've erected quite a lot of barriers to trade with the EU. Now,
but we still have a tariff-free, quota-free trade deal with the European Union. We got rid of the wretched backstop. All of those, we were told, were impossible. It happened. I believe that the Northern Ireland Protocol will be ditched within months as well. But the clock's against us. I'd love all three of you to return so we can speak at greater length. But Charlie and Belinda, very briefly, if you can, starting with you, Charlie, final closing thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think we've made a massive mistake and we're going to pay for it for years to come. The quicker we do a U-turn and get ourselves back in there, we've closed the door on 500 million potential customers. Why would you do that? We need to be friends. We should be building a bigger table, not building a fence.
Gosh, did you say we need to be French? I mean, seriously.
No,
You've crossed the line there.
No, I never said French. I said we should be building a bigger table, not building a fence.
Oh, I see. Oh, forgive me. Okay, well, look, Charlie, I appreciate your views, and there are many watching who will agree, and I appreciate your contribution.
Yeah.
Finally, Belinda.
47.
Go on.
47% who agree. 47% of voters are now agree.
Belinda, last word.
Listen, polls have been wrong about Brexit for 5 years. We need Brexit now more than ever, because to recover from this pandemic, we need to be independent. We need to go off on our own and recover in a way that doesn't depend on a recovery fund in the EU, where we give a load of money and only get some back and get told what to spend it on, like the poor Irish are getting told to do. We get to spend our own money recovering how we see is in the best interest of our people. And secondly, Charlie, it's such a shame. You're a British success story, and you turned your back on democracy and fought against us instead of joining us and helping us make Brexit a success, because it's going to happen. So why not join us and start thinking positively on how you can serve your country in other ways than just serving other people economically?
What a brilliant debate. I wish we had longer. Charlie, I know you're itching to say something. Go on, Charlie. Last.
No, let me just say this. Belinda. If I was to agree with you, then we'd both be wrong.
Good line, and nice to end on a bit of a little bit of humour and a light note. My thanks to all three of you. We love a good ding dong here at GB News. That's what this place is all about.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.